Hello, I'm Mike Leeson, and welcome as ESPN Classic presents the 1994 Food City 500. In qualifying for this race, 31 of the 37 starters bettered the old track record. But one driver who didn't seem overly concerned about the high speeds was Chuck Bown. The 40-year-old rookie won the pole for the first time in his Winston Cup career. Sitting next to Bown on the front row was a driver familiar with success at the Tennessee Teacup, Rusty Wallace. The runner-up in the 1993 Winston Cup Championship, Wallace was the Food City 500 defending champion. He trailed points leader Ernie Irvin by 300 points. Wallace won 5 races on short tracks in 1993 and was confident that he could kickstart his Winston Cup campaign in Bristol. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt, who won the Trans-South 400 the previous week in Darlington, was tied for second in the Cup standings. But the Intimidator had a poor qualifying session and would start the race way back in 24th place. Bristol is notorious for its door-to-door racing, which causes plenty of caution flags and unscheduled pit stops. Stay with us. It's the 1994 Food City 500 right here on ESPN Classic.
We welcome you to Bristol International, and all year long pit crews have challenged each other to get their drivers in and out of the pits quickly. It's going to be especially important here today at Bristol. It's difficult to pass on the tight track, so pit crews will be called upon to help their driver gain track position through the pit stops. Weather is threatening. Here is the starting lineup for today's Food City 500 at Bristol, with Chuck Bown on the pole for the first time in his career, and Rusty Wallace alongside. We'll go through the grid for you very quickly because we should be going green here in just a couple of more laps.
About 2 more laps. Mark Martin, Joe Nemechek. How about that? Great qualifying run for Nemechek. Ernie Irvin, Todd Bodine. Look at Todd up in the top 10.
There comes Bobby Labonte, Morgan Shepherd, Ricky Rudd, and Terry Labonte.
And I tell you what, we got 500 miles. The cars, Bob, faster laps. 500 laps faster than ever. Going to be awfully hard physically on the drivers today.
31 drivers broke the previous track record. There are 37 starters here today. The fastest of all was Bound at 124.946 on a half-mile racetrack.
And Chuck Bown, that's right, his pit crew going to be awfully important today. Can he pit as well as the 2 car, the 28 car? They've proven all year long they are as good as there is on pit road. Can the 12 car, are they up to the task? They say they are.
There are the guys that took the provisionals to get into the race. Jeff Burton and Dale Jarrett, and Darrell Waltrip took a former champion's provisional to get into the lineup. Remember, though, Darrell Waltrip started last in this race last year, 35th last year, and went on to a 6th place finish. And there are the 5 drivers who attempted to qualify but had to go home to watch this race on television. And the cars come out of corner number 4. The pace car pulls down off the 36 degrees of banking. The crowd is on its feet, and the Food City 500 is underway. Physically demanding racetrack that this entire circuit.
And it's more physical now than ever before, Bob, because of the speeds that they're running here. As you mentioned, 29 cars broke the track, 31 cars broke the track record. They're turning this track in just over 15 seconds. And so the G-forces and the centrifugal force is tremendous here as Dale Earnhardt tries to make a pass here on Mike Wallace.
You saw Earnhardt qualified back in about the 23rd spot. And once these cars get on the outside, right now the groove on the bottom of the racetrack, we saw Wallace get on the outside. 2 cars got by before he could get back to the groove.
The other car that went around Wallace was Jeff Bodine, one of 4 drivers on Hoosier Tires here this afternoon. Darrell Waltrip, who has been on Hoosier Tires for the previous races in 1994, has switched to Goodyear for this event. Rusty Wallace is the leader of the race as we take a look at the close action. Back about 17th, 18th, and 19th.
There's Ward Burton right in the middle of that in the Hardy's car number 31. He was the fastest second round qualifier, but his speed would have been good enough to put him up in the top 10.
There we see the 16 car. Jeff Gordon got on the inside of him, took a spot away, and once Musgrave got on the outside, lost 2 more spots before he could get back in line.
That puts Ted Musgrave back to 7th position. It's Wallace, Bown, Martin, Jeff Gordon, Irvin, Bobby Labonte, and then Musgrave. Chuck Bown had hoped to lead a NASCAR Winston Cup race for the first time since 1976 when he led at Riverside, but Rusty Wallace got off to a very
there's trouble on the backstretch. Harry Gant he spun down to the inside retaining wall. A couple of cars got in trouble in front of him, and I guess everybody else slowed down. Harry perhaps got hit from the rear and spun down to the inside.
He hit the wall very hard inside retaining wall on the backstretch, and you can see there is heavy front end damage to the 33 Skoal Bandit. And Harry Gant, who is driving in his last spring race here at Bristol, has been involved in an incident. Let's see if we can determine what happened.
Let's see. He's checked up, and the
31 car, Ward Burton hit him. But something happened in front of them. Derek Cope got tagged by, was it the...
Well, Derek Cope was very, very slow coming off the second corner.
Well, he got bumped a little bit, I believe, by Brett Bodine was trying to get by him. And anyway, he was slow coming off the corner, and everybody checked up. And then Ward Burton just bumped into Harry Gant.
And there we see the Quaker State car, the Fingerhut cars. Derek Cope has not made a pit stop, so evidently, you're right, Ned, he just was a bump that got him off the throttle.
So our first caution of the day over Bristol International Raceway. 13 laps have been completed. Rusty Wallace has led all of them so far, taking the lead from outside the front row starting position.
Evidently, Harry Gant is okay. He's sitting in the car. The window net is down. And I think is that not the signal, Ned, that the drivers, if they're okay, take the window net down? That tells NASCAR they're okay?
Yes, that's what they have been told. And
from the bumper cam, we can see what happened. That's Derek Cope's bumper cam.
Okay, so it was Sterling Barlin then that came up and maybe bumped him a little bit and got him out of shape. And then you can see back there's Harry gets bumped from behind there as everybody sort of put on their brakes and slowed down. They can see that maybe there's going to be some trouble there.
Here we see Ward Burton go in and just touch Harry Gant in the back. And Michael Waltrip in the back of Ward Burton is lucky that didn't have more than one car spinning back there.
And now an in-car real time coming up.
Derek Cope touched the wall back there coming off the second corner.
And John Kernan has a report on pit road.
Bob, we've made our way to the backstretch pits, and they're putting Harry Gant's car on the tow truck to pull it behind the wall. The problem is that heavy impact on the front end. They have broken the radiator, so they're going to have to spin quite a few laps behind the wall to fix that. That's all the damage we know of at this point. Of course, maybe some problems with the steering, but right now just a broken radiator that they'll have to come behind the wall and fix.
So Harry Gant may not be out of this race, but for right now, the car is on the hook and headed for the garage area. We'll be back with more of our live coverage from Bristol International Raceway and the Food City 500. Just as you rejoin us, the green flag comes back out and we're under race conditions once again. We ran 6 laps under caution. It's lap 18, back under green with Rusty Wallace showing the way over Chuck Bown, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, and Ernie Irvin. Our first caution for an accident on the backstretch involving Harry Gant.
Rusty Wallace trying to check out on these boys. Already pulled up about a 6-car length advantage, and John Kernan is caught up with Harry Gant.
Well, Benny, they pulled Harry's car behind the wall, and Harry, something happens here, and it happens really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah. Somebody was a little bit over anxious. Somebody hit me so hard in the back end, about broke my neck there. Turned me right around.
Well, they've got a lot of damage up front, a radiator, and you guys are going to try and fix it to get it back out? Okay, well, Harry Gant staying very, very early here at Bristol.
So Harry has competed in his final spring race here at Bristol. When he comes back in the fall, it will be his final race at this half-mile facility. This, of course, is Harry's final year of competition.
Now, Bob, this might be a break for a couple of drivers. Dale Jarrett and Jeff Burton were having to share a pit today, and the first car out of the race gets to move into, one of those teams gets to move into that pit. So now they won't have to share a pit. They hate to see Harry go out of the race, but they will have to have a pit of their own.
So Michael Walter go by. There's some pretty good damage to the front of the car of that Bensdorf Pontiac. He smacked somebody. There we see the right front beat up a little bit.
Dale Earnhardt now in 21st position as he's following Michael Waltrip and Ward Burton. Trying to move through the traffic, but it is not easy to do. There's a front end damage on Michael Waltrip's car. Not a whole lot, but... And we now see 2, 3, 4, and 5 running right together as Wallace has lengthened his advantage, but Mark Martin is trying to get second position from Chuck Bown, and Jeff Gordon and Ernie Irvin are right behind Mark.
Mark don't want to be aggressive right at this point of the race, but he sees Rusty Wallace pulling away up there, and he feels that he's a little bit faster than Chuck is right now, so he'd like to get in front of him. Chuck doing a good job of holding that groove, which is the fast groove.
Some sponsorship picked up on that number 12 car from Masterville 7-in-1 Smoker, Hitch Hall, and the World Boxing Federation.
7-in-1 Smoker. That must be something, fix something to eat, right?
I don't know. Sounds like it could be. Here's Rudd, Labonte, and Lixby. Now we're beginning to see some moisture on the camera lens there. Hope that didn't rain.
Now, I saw some of that yesterday. We had an in-car camera yesterday. Well, I hope it isn't raining. You're right. There's quite a bit more. So there, as we... Lake Speed was right up on the back bumper of Terry Labonte.
That is the reason, as I explained, we came on the air so quickly. There is a threat of rain here this afternoon. It's raining, we know, throughout almost the Midwest, making its way southeast. And we hope we can get all 500 laps in before this.
Oh, Mark Martin and Chuck Bown almost got together. Sorry, Bob.
Ernie Irvin has been working on Jeff Gordon for the last few laps, too. Again, this is for second position. Bown has the spot. Mark Martin right there knocking on his door. He looks at his own. Bown spins.
And so far, he hasn't done anything. He's just keeping off the wall shut. Oh, man.
Just at the last minute, the left front of the car hit the wall in turn number 1, and Bown has damaged the machine.
Oh, that's too bad. One of the biggest days of his life here on Friday, winning the pole for this team.
He's got the Bobby Allison-owned car headed in the right direction now.
But the left front tire is flat, and he's having all kinds of trouble. The left rear also flat. Here we watch Mark Martin come off the corner. He tries to get under Chuck Bown. He tries to, but he runs in the back of the 12 car. And Jeff Gordon gets by Mark Martin as he backs off the gas. And the 12 car thought maybe he's going to get away with it, but he goes up and smacks that left front.
Joe Nemechek narrowly missing him as the car slid down the banking. Here it is from another angle.
Just a little bit of a nudge. It didn't take a great deal. He spins down to the inside, and then is going to come back up across the track.
It was Bobby Labonte, wasn't it? The Maxwell House car that almost got into him.
And then Musgrave. But it's only a one-car incident involving Chuck Bown, who has made his way to his pit area now and actually is going to go behind the wall. Well, I thought he was, but I guess not. Jerry Punch is right there. Doc?
Unfortunately, Bob, heavy damage for Chuck Bown and Bobby Allison's Ford Thunderbird. The left front, the right front, the left rear. The tires are basically down and off the wheels, and Chuck did a great job just to get the car to turn off the racetrack. Now they have to pick the left side of the car up. The clearance is so minimal to the ground that there's no room to get the jack under the car if the tires are both flat. They get the jack beneath the car, left side tire, left rear tire going on. They're still looking at the left front fender area, trying to push some of the fender away. And heavy damage, a tough break for a young man who has put that car on the pole for the first time in his career. Bob?
All right, Jerry, the car about to roll away, but here it is from Mark Martin's in-car. And you can see Jeff Gordon go around Mark Martin to pick up the second position. So bown is underway once again, although the caution remains out for the second time here at Bristol. Rusty Wallace leads Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Ernie Urban, and Bobby Labonte.
Dale Jarrett brought out the second caution with a spin in the third corner of lap number 68. Jeff Gordon beat Rusty Wallace out of the pits to move into the top spot. But Rusty took over again on lap number 103. We rejoined the action just after the lead change as Ernie Urban heads to pit road. Let's head back to our announcers for an explanation as we continue with the 1994 Food City 500 on ESPN Classic.
Look at Jeff Godin was leading the race. He made his pit stop. He's out ninth. That's because he's pitted on the back straightaway. Mark Martin lost a couple of spots. Came in second, went out fourth. Rusty Wallace gained a couple. Jeff Gordon gained a couple. And look at Terry Labonte. He gained a couple as well. So the Hendrick cars make some very good pit stops.
We were going to go back to green. There was something on the racetrack, so they a brake rotor on the track, so they kept the caution out an extra lap. But next time around, we will go green. We are under caution because of an incident which occurred in turns 1 and 2. Derek Cope
goes down the corner, starts to go to the left, and the car just all of a sudden goes straight in the wall. You know, and I mentioned that Exide Battery is opening a plant here. Fingerhut also has a distribution center.
That's right.
Down in Piney Flats, about 5-6 miles from here.
just down the road.
Just down the road in Piney Flats.
Pace car pulls off. Here we go. Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, and Terry Labonte lead him down. The crowd cheers and the green waves on lap 141.
There's Kyle Petty on the inside. He's 2 laps down as a result of having a flat and make a green flag pit stop. He's still down. Rusty Wallace gets one of those back, and now Jeff Gordon's going to take advantage of that and take the lead.
Indeed he does. Jeff Gordon takes the lead for the second time this afternoon, and also Jimmy Spencer and Brent Bodine pass by Rusty as he can't get to the bottom of the racetrack. Now Mark Martin tries but can't. Rusty will now have the opportunity to get the flow.
And Mark Martin did get by Terry Labonte.
Now late speed on the inside of Terry Labonte trying to take that spot. Can't do it this time.
Jerry punches with Ernie Urban.
Our point leader still behind the wall, working on the car. Ernie, did they decide that it was a timing chain?
Well, we haven't really got it apart yet, but that's what it appears to be. And, you know, even if we can fix the timing chain, it probably bent all the valves when it broke. So we may be out, but those guys aren't going to give up. They're going to try as hard as they can to get her fixed, get back out there.
Ernie Urban standing by, the car behind the wall, and everyone working under the hood of this car trying to get this motor torn apart and give him a shot at a few more laps and points.
Look at that mass of race cars.
Yeah, there's just a wreck waiting to happen.
Exactly.
You're right. They're running side by side, and everybody jockeying for position. You know, they got to do it, but boy, that's dangerous.
Ricky Rudd on the outside of Dave Marcus. Then see Joe Nemechek on the inside.
All of this, of course, from Morgan Shepherd's car.
You know, that outside groove might be coming in a little bit, guys, because we're seeing some cars hang on pretty good up there on the outside.
Historically, as the race wears on, the groove gets better. The rubber gets laid down, and there's a better opportunity to get up there and run quick. And it appears as if it is coming in here.
Rusty Wallace went, oh, this is a 27 and the 77 and 10 got together.
These three cars are running very close together. These 5 cars, actually.
And Earnhardt has moved up to the 7th spot after qualifying back in about 23rd.
Look at this. By the 66th lap, he was 17th. Up to 7th position now. And of course, he was helped by the pit stops. He wasn't among the 18 fastest qualifiers, but he is, of course, the defending Winston Cup champion and therefore gets a position in the front pits.
It's one of the perks for being the champion.
He gets the very first pick. He takes best and leaves the rest, the remainder of the field.
Now Bobby Labonte closing right in on Lake Speed. This is 5th, 6th, and 7th here. Speed, Labonte, and Earnhardt.
Ted Musgrave right there with him.
The race record here is just a little over 100 miles an hour, 100.989 as a matter of fact.
Rusty Wallace going by Jimmy Spencer. Mark comes along with him.
Spencer 6 laps down.
Jerry has an update on Rusty Wallace.
Rusty Wallace was very concerned before the race about temperature on the right front tire. He told me it was showing about 270 degrees across the right front. On his first pit stop, the tire was at least 270 on the inside. So Buddy Parrott has told Rusty, take it easy. Don't use up the tires. Gordon will eventually slow down and come back to you. So Rusty is backed off and trying to run a good, steady pace here after each pit stop.
Here goes Earnhardt on the inside of Labonte.
Got him.
He got him. Now Musgrave will go by and take that spot away. So as hard as Bobby Labonte was trying to get by Lake Speed, he loses a couple of spots.
Earnhardt moves to the 6th spot. Remember, Earnhardt and Martin came into this race tied for 2nd place, 81 behind Ernie Irvin, the points leader, and Ernie is behind the wall having the car worked on. There are Wallace and Martin, 2nd and 3rd, as they try to catch up to Jeff Gordon, the leader of the race.
Gordon sitting there riding behind Kyle Petty. Kyle is almost 2 laps down. And now they're beginning to catch him a little bit. He might have to take a look at trying to move on around Kyle. Kyle's holding him up.
There you see the interval leaderboard as Lake Speed only about 3 seconds behind in 5th position. And now 1st, 2nd, 3rd are close, and 2nd goes to Mark Martin.
Rusty Wallace got in the corner, went up a little bit, and Mark just drove by. And look, Kyle Petty goes by him. And Terry Labonte joins that group.
Yeah, let us not forget about Terry Labonte, who's running a good race and is in 4th position. There are your top 4. They're running right together on the racetrack, and they're being led by Jeff Gordon. 159 laps are in the book here at Bristol International Raceway in the hills of Northeast Tennessee. We'll be right back.
Mark Martin moved into 1st, and Rusty Wallace took over 2nd as they both slipped underneath Jeff Gordon in the 4th corner of lap number 161. Dick Trickle brought out the day's 5th caution with a spin on lap number 169, but they're preparing to go back to green as we pick up the action on lap number 178 of the 1994 Food City 500.
Lap and a half has been completed under green. We were cautioned for 9 laps. Back under racing now with Jeff Bodine leading the way over Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, then Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin. The 41 car of Joe Nemechek is a lap down in 19th position. Here comes Rusty underneath him in turn number 4. There are 18 cars on the lead lap. Speed of the race is a little over 86 miles an hour. Dale Earnhardt started 24th, has been as high as 3rd. That's where he is currently, and he's been as low as 24th, his starting position. Has not led a lap in his last short track win was at Martinsville in April of '91. Now we see Rusty Wallace closing in on Jeff.
Put a little heat on him. But I only change those 2 tires. Is this car going to stick well enough to keep Rusty back there?
Might not, Paul, especially when the good years are new that Rusty Wallace had on his car. Seems like in the long run that the car goes really good, but maybe short run, you get some heat on them, they don't look quite as good, especially with just 2 wheels on. That you can bet your life he's going to use that groove to his best advantage.
Earnhardt, meanwhile, is just sitting back watching these two battle it out. Ooh, Rusty a little slowly coming off the corner, and Earnhardt tries to take advantage, but
he and Rusty make some contact. All three cars got a little bit out of shape.
I don't think there's any question that Rusty's car is a little bit faster right now, but that doesn't mean that he's going to lead the race. But Jeff Bodine is doing a good job of taking that groove.
And there is Jeff Gordon, who also is staying well in contention, but a few car lengths back of those battling for the lead. A good place to be sitting right now.
Really, yeah. See, he's got a little daylight in front of him in case something happens up there.
And a crash. Oh, Ricky Rudd has hit the wall hard, apparently, or has hit something hard, because the front end of that thing is really crinkled up.
It really is.
Wow.
He hit the wall, the inside wall with that.
Yes, he did.
Tied forward.
We see some orange on the wall here in front of us.
Evidently.
We see some movement inside there, because he just hit it for a ton, tore the front end off the car almost.
Ricky was 5th in the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings coming into this race.
He was running 17th.
I see a medic car running over to him.
Safety crew is right there.
Evidently they're talking to him.
Jerry, what do you know?
That happened right in front of us here. We're standing at the midpoint of pit road, and Rudd came into contact with another car here at the almost the start, just past the start finish line. The nose of his Ford turned directly toward the wall. He turned the tires to the right, trying to save it. The car came across at full speed and impacted the inside concrete wall. I guess when the contact came with the other car, guys, it's no chance to save him here at these speeds.
The ambulance is moving toward the scene of the crash. Ricky remains in the cockpit, and the safety personnel are there.
I see some of the Tide crew down there, and the NASCAR officials have told them, look, guys, you know, let the professionals do it.
Pit road is closed at the moment. He is not far from the exit of pit road here on the front stretch.
Car slid clear across the, there you can see the impact. The car slid clear across the track, up the banking, and then it slid down the banking. But the contact came on the front stretch. There it has already occurred. Yep. The car slides up to 36 degrees of banking. Jerry?
I just spoke to Bill Engel as you watch Ricky Rudd climb, and with the assistance here of the Bristol life-saving crew, he'll land in the ambulance. They have 3 physicians on duty here at the facility. Larry Carrier wanted to make sure they got every major specialty covered as far as trauma is concerned. Linda Rudd walking back. Ricky apparently, upon impact, had the breath knocked out of him. He was able to breathe and was alert inside the race car. Talked to Bill Engel a minute ago and his wife, Linda. He'll be taken to the infield care center and checked out. And hopefully we can get a comment from Ricky momentarily.
Well, good. We breathe a sigh of relief after that major impact.
He hit it hard. There's no doubt about it. You can see how the front end of the Tide Ford is bashed in.
Ricky, of course, a car owner this year in addition to the driver.
And he spent some of his money.
Yes.
Considerable amount.
Well, the track crew is going to be out there for a while because there was a lot of fluid that leaked from the race car. There is the point of impact just past the start finish line. You can see the tracks. They begin just out of turn number 4. And they head on impact with the inside wall down by turn number 1. But apparently Ricky is not seriously injured. He is being taken to the infield medical center, and Dr. Cherry Punch will continue to keep an eye on Ricky and give us any further information that he might have. So we'll take another break as Ricky gets out of the ambulance, which has arrived at the infield care center. He's on the stretcher, as you can see, but
I don't blame him. Hey,
yeah.
I don't blame him. Hey, guys, carry me in there. It's a whole lot easier than trying to walk in there.
Max Helton of the outreach effort. And we will get an update as soon as it becomes available. We'll be back after these messages with more of our live coverage from Bristol. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee for the Food City 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. The lights atop the pace car are no longer blinking. In half a lap, we will go back to racing after our 6th caution of the day involving an incident with Ricky Rudd. He has been taken to the infield care center. We continue to stand by to get updated information. As soon as we get it, we will pass it along to you. He was alert apparently and is not seriously injured, but again, we will update you as soon as we possibly can. Meanwhile, with 196 laps about to be completed, we go back to racing, and Jeff Bodine is up front with Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, and Mark Martin. Here's our Ford telemetry with Mark Martin. Down to about 106.
Oh, and the 8 car run spins it right in front of Bill Elliott. Morgan Shepherd's involved in the crash, and some heavy contact with Elliott and the 8 car.
Yeah, Jeff Burton took heavy impact from Bill Elliott. And as Benny said, this 21 car of Morgan Shepherd also involved. Here's a replay of what happened. Burton spins, hits the wall, and then Elliott.
Right into him, and Morgan Shepherd then gets into Elliott. Elliott was running 14th. Morgan Shepherd was running 16th, both on the lead lap.
We have seen 2 major crashes here just in the last few laps. There is Bill Elliott emerging from his Budweiser Ford and appears to be in good shape. And the impact fortunately came at the back of the car. It wasn't a direct side impact, so we hope that Jeff Burton is also in good shape. Morgan Shepherd, meanwhile, has driven the Citgo Ford down through the pits in the backstretch. That's from his in-car camera. Jeff Burton is out of the car. Good. Walking to the ambulance. He and Bill talking about what happened. It was just a simple situation where Elliott was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I guarantee for both of them.
Yes. And again, we show you the solid, heavy impact that Jeff took from Bill Elliott right there. Morgan got bounced around pretty good too.
Yes, he did. And we see the water out of Elliott's car. It doesn't surprise me that the radiator is gone. You see the crew looking at the 21 car, trying to figure out what they've got to do to fix it. Can they fix it? Is it just a simple tire change?
Morgan Shepherd is in 7th place in the Winston Cup point standings coming into this race. So some of the top 10 having problems here today, including the leader, Ernie Irvan. In case you joined us late, fans, Ernie Irvan is out of the race. And de Havilland Ford with some sort of an engine problem.
And of all the races that have been run at this facility and all the times the Wood brothers have been here, they have never won a race at Bristol, and apparently will not today either. There's a very badly damaged car of Jeff Burton. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that one's fixable today.
No. And there's Bill Elliott's, and it doesn't look in the best of shape.
Morgan Shepherd can probably get back on the racetrack with his car, probably to reduce speed. But these two, I think they can put them on the truck.
Prepare for North Wilkesboro.
Exactly. Well, you're right. Those last 2 crashes with Rudd, and here now with Bill Elliott and Jeff Burton, that's about as hard to hit the wall at Bristol.
Sure is.
So So that just leaves 15 cars on the lead lap.
I say hit the wall. They didn't hit the wall, hit each other.
And here's the replay from Bill Elliott's in-car camera.
Boy. Knocked us right out of focus there, didn't it? He hit hard. I suspect that Jeff Burton got tagged a little bit going into that turn. Here's Morgan as we watch out his windshield.
And Morgan got hit twice. He got hit in the right front and the right rear. They work on it. The Wood brothers and the team work on Morgan Shepherd's car. He may be able to get back in the race, as Benny indicated, but the day is over for Burton and Elliott. Back at Bristol in a moment. 6 laps were run under caution. We are back to green flag action with Jeff Bodine continuing to lead the way, and Chuck Bown spins in turn 2, and everybody hits the brakes, and several others become involved. Numerous others become involved, as a matter of fact, including Kyle Petty,
Terry Labonte, Steve Grissom, Brett Bodine,
Ted Musgrave, Rick Mast. Here's Rick Mast.
Man, oh man.
Are we going to have anybody left? It was almost like Saturday Night Thunder last night in Ventura, California, when I think 6 cars finished a 30-lapper. And Terry Labonte has some flame beneath that car as he pulls into the pits on the right of your screen. May have been something dragging, but he's damaged. There's Musgrave. He's in a mess. There's Terry Labonte. He doesn't look very good. Here's the replay.
Here the 12 car gets just a little bit of a tap from Earnhardt. He goes up the racetrack. I thought he was going to save it, but then he can't save it. He comes back across. Jeff Gordon just gets by Mark Martin. Now all of a sudden the 16 gets bumped behind, and now Kyle Petty runs in the back of the 5 car. There's the 26 of Brett Bodine involved. Sterling Marlin's got some damage.
Michael Waltrip might have got into Bobby Labonte just a little bit there.
And the 75 car made a pit stop, Todd Bodine, so it looks like that possibly he has got some damage.
Yeah, he's going behind the wall right now. Here's another angle. And we can see that,
I said that Earnhardt hit him. I don't know that he hit him, Ned.
Well, it looked like Chuck might have been out of shape just a little bit, and Earnhardt might have tapped him and helped him on around after that. Take a look from the blimp shot. Maybe that'll show us exactly what did happen if he did hit him. Okay, here they go. Earnhardt's about 6 feet behind. Now he moves up a little bit closer.
No, he didn't touch him.
I don't think so.
I don't think he touched him. No, sir. 12 car just got a little bit out of shape, and
Chuck Bown was the pole sitter. Here's everybody else.
Yeah, you're right, Ned. The 30 car did get some damage. I saw you touch somebody with the right front.
Bown was the pole sitter, was the only one eligible for $83,600 in Unical bonus money. And some great work from the people running the cameras up on the Family Channel blimp. As you can see, the skies are becoming quite overcast and dark. And Jerry Punch is with Bill Elliott.
And Bill Elliott has walked out of the care center. First of all, Bill, are you okay?
I'm fine. You know, just it's a sad deal, you know, for the Budweiser guys. You know, all the guys have worked hard, and you know, I really didn't feel that good about the car going in the race. But as the race went on, I felt pretty good about the old race car. And that right there was just a victim of circumstances. You know, I looked out in the mirror at the start-finish line. Next thing I knew, I looked back. The 8 car was sideways. You know, Morgan was behind me. He tapped me. I hit Darrell, and I was trying to get out of Darrell's way. When I went down, the 8 car come down the racetrack, and I was kind of just sliding enough sideways that I couldn't get traction to get the car slowed down, and I nailed the 8 car.
At these speeds, can you do anything with the race car?
You can't do anything, and I don't care who you are. You know, it's just like a deal that just happened on the back straightaway. The problem is, if you get stopped and the guy behind you can't get stopped, and it's just a chain reaction deal. And I mean, I don't know what you're doing. You're just running so doggone fast, you can't do nothing about it.
Bill Elliott will walk away, awfully sore from Bristol. Let's check in. John Kernan is standing by with Rick Mast. Jerry, the crew are working on Rick's Ford Thunderbird. They got a lot of heavy damage in the front end, a broken oil cooler. You can see where the oil is spilled out all over the race car. And Rick looked like Chuck was going to get out of the way, and then someone in front of you just got sideways, and the whole chain reaction started.
I guess 12 and 3 got together, I think. I don't know. We've seen it happening. was getting out of the gas, and 2 or 3 cars just slammed on the brakes real hard, you know, and I didn't have anywhere to go. If everybody just kind of kept going a little bit, I think we'd have been all right. But, you know, we've been junk ever since we got here, and the race started this morning or today, and, you know, the car was going good. I felt like we had a top 10 car today, and remnants of last year now, you know, we get in trouble. So maybe at North Wilkesboro.
Thanks a lot, Rick. Bob?
There were 8 cars that were involved in that incident, and most of them are behind the wall getting service.
Let's take a look again from the blimp shot going into that turn. Dale Earnhardt is coming up on the 12 car, gets awfully close right there. I don't know, it's hard to tell if he actually touched him or not, but it looks like there's some sparks. There's sparks coming out of the 12 car from the rear as if something might have broken on that car. I don't know.
What happened, the left front spring is, the left rear spring is so weak on that car. When he turned to the right and the car came back, the left rear went down and bottomed the exhaust pipes out on the racetrack.
Dr. Jerry Punch has an update on Ricky Rudd. Jerry?
Guys behind me, they've just loaded Ricky Rudd here in the Bristol Life Saving Crew ambulance. He is going to be taken to Bristol Regional Medical Center. Now, Ricky was awake and alert inside, neurologically intact. In other words, he has no significant head injury. The only concern is that he strained his neck on that head-on impact with the concrete wall. I've spoken with the physicians inside. They're going to take Ricky over for precautionary x-rays of his neck. Probably just a cervical sprain or sprain of the muscles around the neck. Don't want to take any chances. He's going to come out of the racetrack. They're going to back the ambulance up here, take it around, and go out the gate. Might also update inside. I spoke with Jeff Burton. He is fine. A little bit sore, but should be released in just a moment. We're under caution here at Bristol International Raceway for a continued problem here. It's wild and it's action. Back in a moment.
Dale Earnhardt passed Rusty Wallace for second place, and Jeff Bodine continues to lead as we return to the race on lap number 292.
And another Fram Field summary coming up for you. Watch for your favorite driver. As you will see here in just a second or two, Darrell Waltrip has gone a lap down in 9th position.
Yep, he's hung in there for a long time today and stayed in that lead lap. But you can see Rusty Wallace 2 laps down and being shown in 11th place there now. Now, some of these cars have spent some time behind the wall. Brett Bodine and Steve Grissom. And Mike Wallace out of it now. Morgan Shepherd's still out there running around. But there are a lot of cars that still work being done on, like Todd Bodine. He's still behind the wall. And Ricky Rudd's still hit road there. Work being done on the Kellogg's car.
See, Jeff Bodine trying to put the Pontiac of Bobby Labonte, the Maxwell House car, a lap down. That's the 8th place car, and down 1 lap he goes.
7 cars now on the lead lap, and Michael Waltrip will be the next to go a lap down, but there is quite a bit of racetrack between Michael and the leader, Jeff Bodine. I'm going to say Rusty Wallace's incredible streak on short tracks may come to an end here today. His last finish is second, first, second, first, second, fourth. Wow, not bad, huh?
Not too shabby.
But if this race goes to the end, there's still over 200 laps.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot can happen.
Look at Mark Martin slide up into the wall. And you rode along with him. How about that? The thing
coming in the pits.
Yep, just took off on him, probably got tired.
Yep.
Mark Martin drops from the 3rd position. Comes in for the stop. Jerry Punch is right there.
I had just spoken with Steve Mill and asked him about their next stop. He said, well, if our tires hold out, we're going to pit around lap 330. Well, that would be 30 laps from now, and obviously the tires will not hold out. Martin skidded up against the wall. They changed right side tires. They were only, well, no, they're going to change all 4 tires. Left side lug nuts are coming off. Steve Mill pulls sheet metal away from the right front of the car. Mark Martin driving the car. He won with last August at Bristol Raceway. Left side lug nuts are on. He is down and away.
Lost 2 laps.
Here it is again as he goes into the turn on the outside of Wally Dallenbach, and it just goes right up to the wall. Boy, he was fortunate not to hit the wall any harder than he did.
That's right. I started to say he did hit the wall, but you're right. Very fortunate.
And Bobby Labonte almost getting the wall coming off of turn 2 over there. Don't know if he has a flat or what, but
here it is from our remote camera once again as it pans with Mark as he scrapes along the wall in the 2nd corner.
Bobby He's coming in the pit, so evidently he does have a flat tire, Ned. Yep.
Well, this is another long green flag run that we've seen here, and it's been a while since they've been in the pits. There were a couple of cautions in between their last pit stops, but this tire's been on there a while, so I guess we're seeing the effects of it.
On the left side of the Maxwell House Pontiac. And he moves away. There is Mark Martin.
You know, that brush with the wall didn't seem to hurt the car that much, Ned.
No, just a little paint job to take care of it.
Jerry, what's the tire look like?
Well, take a look at what happened here. Little Mark Martin's tire, small little separation right here, or puncture. Actually, it's a small cut on the inside of the tire. Steve Mill was looking at the tire a minute ago and said, right there's the culprit, doctor. He pointed it out to me. The tire began to go down. Now, let me show you the other side of the tire. What happens when you smack the wall at 130 miles an hour. I'll turn the tire around. A little bit on the hot side. The tire is about 270 degrees. You see the concrete? He hit the white part of the concrete, then slid over to the red part of the concrete at a turn 2. So he got a nice little concrete stripe on the right front tire.
Nice color contrast, too, huh?
Something is wrong with Rusty Wallace.
Well,
or maybe
Mark,
just a new tire.
Yeah, I think it's the new tires that Mark has on, because Rusty had been passing several cars himself, but he's been out there a while on those tires.
That was for position, however. Both of those drivers are 2 laps down, and Mark went to 9th.
And the 5th place car, Michael Waltrip, is in the pits on the backstretch. Michael had moved up to the number 5 position, and we assume this is a scheduled stop for the Pennzoil Pontiac team. I suppose we'll see others coming in, and maybe after they take a look at Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin, the problems that they've had here, and say, maybe we better get on in here before we get into the wall and get some tires. Bobby Labonte had a problem. Here's Michael now getting ready to go back out, having one of his better runs of the year.
And remember, Jeff Bodine only changed 2 tires. Well, the last time he stopped, put the left sides on, so the right side's got about 30 more laps than these other cars.
Driver who is gaining positions through attrition, but let's not take anything away from his performance this afternoon, because Ken Schrader is in 5th position and on the lead lap.
In fact, he's the last car on the lead lap. Jeff Bodine is not too far behind him, about a third of a straightaway. And here's Jeff Gordon coming into the pits, car number 24.
He gives up his 3rd position to come in for a tire change. Jerry Punch, all yours.
Actually, about 15 laps early for Gordon. They would like to have stayed up to about lap 330. Right side tires already on. They cleaned the windshield, or at least they better clean the windshield. Now they clean the windshield. They got the spray up there. Left side tires on. It's full of fuel. Jack is full, and Gordon is down and away.
Good clean pit stop for Jeff Gordon as he takes the DuPont Chevrolet back out onto the racetrack.
Here's Sterling Marling coming in with a lot of damage. He's been in several fracases out there today. They've got that thing sort of roped together, wired together. Pit crews really come into play here at Bristol, especially on green flag pit stops.
Got to get your driver out as quickly as possible to not lose any more track position than possible.
But it's almost impossible, Bob, to make a pit stop, regardless of how good you are. Rusty Wallace lost 2 laps. Mark Martin did, and it's just impossible to do it without losing.
Yeah, turning laps of about 16 seconds or so, or even less than that, it's almost impossible to keep from going 2 laps down.
And Jeff Bodine is coming in the pits right now, headed down pit road on the backstretch, and John Kernan's back there.
Jeff Bodine has 140 laps about on his right side tires, 120 on his left side. We're expecting a 4 tire change. That's what it will be as the Excite Battle swings into work. Paul Andrews, Danny Gladden, the guy is going to work. The right side tire's on. Danny Gladden was making sure the windshield was clean as they had gotten some fluid on it, possibly some oil from another car being leaked onto it. They made sure to get the windshield clean. Left side now going on, the clock ticking, and Jeff Bodine is down and away at 18.8 seconds. An excellent stop.
Very good pit stop. Dale Earnhardt has taken the lead for the first time today in the Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Picking up the 5 bonus points, very important to him because he did come into this race 2nd in the standings. And Jeff Bodine comes out on the track right where he was, right ahead of Earnhardt.
Right in front of Earnhardt. But he must be a lap and that much down, almost 2 laps down.
Now, the reason he didn't lose 2 laps, he made an excellent pit stop for one thing, but another thing, he was in the lead. He was out a little bit ahead of Earnhardt, and so he was able to get back out. Here's 41.
Oh, and Nemechek gets in the way of Rick Mast.
And what a break for Dale Earnhardt as the caution comes out. And he's going to have 2 laps on some and 1 lap on some awfully good cars, including Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin.
Got to be some celebration going on down in the Richard Childress pit.
Well, also the car number 15 of
Lake Speed
has not pitted. He's in 2nd place, nor has Kenny Schrader.
Right. Those 3 cars are going to be on the same lap and a lap ahead of everybody else. Jerry?
Well, they got to be living right down here in the Earnhardt pit. Richard Childress had just climbed off of his perch here on top of the pit box and gone over to Andy Petrie. He said, guys, we can't wait any longer. We wanted to pit around lap 3, 4. We're going to come in next time. And as they came out of turn 3 to tell Dale Earnhardt to make a pit stop, the caution flag came out. So, boy, they are excited about having this yellow flag out because that leaves Dale with only 2 other cars on the lead lap.
Well, sometimes patience on the racetrack pays off, and sometimes patience in the pit area, that is keeping your driver out as long as possible, pays off, and that's certainly what has happened in this instance. Now there's Nemechek, and watch, the car will slide up into the groove, and Rick Mast
just clipped him a little bit, just enough to spin Rick around, and the leaders are coming in there, but they get by.
There's Schrader that went to the inside, and we understand that raindrops are falling, not unexpectedly. The pits remain closed because Rick Mast's car is right at the entrance to the pit area, and they're going to have to get it out of the way before they open the pits.
Now, if we talk about a break for Dale Earnhardt, yes, it was, and also for Lake Speed, but Ken Schrader was almost a lap down, so it's a double break for him. He had not pitted, stayed on the lead lap, and is going to be right in the thick of this thing.
Among those that will be a lap down when we go back to racing, Darrell Waltrip, also Mark Martin, the 7 car of Jeff Bodine will be a lap down. Rusty will be 2 laps down. So will Jeff Gordon and Bobby Labonte. Now look at Martin. He goes to the inside also. Oh, wow. Almost hit Nemechek.
Yeah.
Schrader, now watch him beat Earnhardt back to the line and therefore stay on the lead lap.
That was close.
What does Dale Earnhardt do now with raindrops falling? And we do see some rain here on our glass in front of us. Does he stay out there, or does he give up the lead?
I think he's got his pit.
Yeah.
I believe so too. Now Lake Speed and Kenny Schrader don't have anything to lose.
No, I mean
they're going to pit when the pits are open, and so they got nothing to lose. Jerry Punch?
Plus, they don't have any choice, Ned. They have to pit from a fuel standpoint, from a tire standpoint. They are getting ready to bring Dale down as soon as the pits come open. They know that rain's in the area. They're also aware that some of the drivers reported seeing a few drops on their windshields, but as soon as the Rick Mast car is disposed of, we will see the 6-time Winston Cup champion make his way down pit road, and here he comes right now, coming into a stop. And the Goodrich crew going to work on the top, and you watch Lake Speed crew on the bottom, the Bud Moore car, working on his Ford Thunderbird. You will see all 4 tires change on the Goodrich Mom and Pop Chevrolet, and left side tires going on Lake Speed's car as well. Under caution again, left side lug nuts on. David Smith pulls the check, and Earnhardt is down on the way, as well as Lake Speed is down and headed back to the turn.
And Ken Schrader is in the backstretch pits meanwhile, the 3rd place car, John.
Well, the crew was just waiting and trying to coax Kenny in, trying to get him into the pits a little quicker, but as you mentioned, he was almost a lap down, maintaining his place in line, and finally comes in as Earnhardt is already headed around to the front straightaway. There goes Lake Speed down the backstretch, and Schrader, left side tires are going on now. Right side's already on. They've already got the gas. Here comes the pace car. They need to hurry up and get the lug nuts tight. And now they've dropped the jack, and they're just barely going to beat the pace car. 21.3 seconds.
There is Schrader, just barely, as you indicated, John, beating the pace car. Schrader stays on the lead lap with Lake Speed and Dale Earnhardt. Back with more live action from Bristol in a moment. We're back under green at Bristol. We ran 8 laps under that last caution period, and this, of course, is from the Family Channel blimp. Starting its national tour in September of '92, it's delighted thousands of spectators in more than 80 cities. This thing is 132 feet in length, 44 feet in height, 37 feet in width, and weighs 3,000 pounds. The Family Channel blimp overhead. Now,
well, they got lake speed hung on the outside, and about 6 cars went by before he could finally get down. And he looks like he's not quite as fast as he was before.
However, he does remain in
second position.
Yeah. No, Schrader's gotten by.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So Schrader is second now. Lake speed is third.
And Jeff Bodine is at the tail end of the lead lap. He's just ahead of the leader of the race, Dale Earnhardt. So we do have 4 cars on the lead lap.
Never see a second place car Schrader go by. There's the third place car late speed.
Strickland running 13th, 4 laps down. Smoking Joe's Ford.
And there we see Earnhardt trying to put that lap on Jeff Bodine.
Dale Earnhardt's last short track victory was at Martinsville in April of 1991.
Rusty Wallace pulls up on the back bumper of Earnhardt, and Earnhardt pulls over and lets Rusty go.
Rusty is 7th, 2 laps down. Now only 1 lap down.
I'm sure the fans are wondering, well, now, we talked about cars getting 2 laps down when they made a green flag pit stop. Jeff Bodine made a green flag pit stop. He did not go quite 2 laps down. He was right in front of Dale Earnhardt when that caution came out, so he picked up one there. He back out in front here on the restart. He did not pit, and so that puts him back in the lead lap.
Now the 28 car of Ernie Irvin is back out on the racetrack, but he's some 211 or so laps down.
So he's back out there to try to gain a few position for those cars that are out of the race, that maybe he can run a couple hundred laps here, or 175 or how many ever, and still but it won't be that many, will it? Maybe 150 something or 60, and get a few positions, and that'll mean a few points. You never know what that might mean at the end of the year.
Was a timing chain, I guess, wasn't it?
It was a timing chain. Jerry Punch reported from the pit area during that last commercial break. And here comes Mark Martin. He wants to get by Earnhardt. Earnhardt says, go ahead, Mark.
Now that puts Mark back in the lead lap. Right. He had passed Earnhardt not long before that caution came out, got one of his laps back.
And the 7th car goes up high, and both Rusty and Mark were able to get by him.
Okay, now Jeff Bodine is not quite as concerned about Rusty Mark Martin as he is Dale Earnhardt. Because when Dale Earnhardt passes him, that puts him a lap down. He's the one who's going to get back.
There's Ward Burton. He is slow once again here on the main straightaway with a lot of smoke from the back end of that Hardee's machine.
So Mark Martin and the 7th car, that was for position, right? Ned, the 6 cars in front of Jeff Bodine.
That is correct.
That was for 4th.
That is correct.
And they're beginning to get out the tarps to cover the tires because the rain begins to pick up a little bit. Now we see about 4 or 5 drops of rain that have fallen on the wind, the glass here in front of us in the broadcast booth. And as you can see in the upper right, there are still 150 coming up on 2 laps to go.
And you know what? Ken Schrader is gaining on Earnhardt.
Although he's about, let's see.
He's about a straightaway behind, but I tell you, folks,
less than 2 seconds.
He's gaining.
I don't think Earnhardt is maybe going as hard as his car will go right now. He's being a little bit careful. He would like to get around Jeff Bodine, but he don't want to take any chances to do that, and especially if the rain has a chance of coming. But Ken Schrader, he is driving his heart out. Check him out this time by. It's 1 6/10 seconds, so he is picking up a little bit.
Gained 4/10 that time.
Now Earnhardt is still behind Bodine.
And you know what Richard Childress is telling him, look, you got to get by Bodine because Schrader is coming. Meanwhile, right in front of those guys, Martin was able to get by Rusty Wallace.
Well, Earnhardt almost had a chance right there. Jeff slipped a little bit coming off the turn, but Earnhardt couldn't take advantage of it.
Now he's got him. I think he's got him now.
Yeah, he's going to lean on him going into that turn.
Into one, he put him a lap down. So Jeff is a lap down now in 5th position as Earnhardt leads, but Schrader is on the move. We'll be right back. It's just past 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time, and we welcome you to NASCAR Winston Cup Racing at Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee, where Dale Earnhardt leads the Food City 500. He has led 91 of the first 408 laps. Mark Martin, while we were away, came in for a pit stop.
Yeah, looks like he had another right front tire go flat. He goes in the corner under the 23 car. He goes up the hill, takes the 23 with him.
Probably a good thing that 23 car was out there if that's strict.
Jerry Punch has more on Mark Martin.
Well, Benny Parsons, you're exactly right. The right front tire on Mark Martin's car, remember the same thing he had a little bit ago, has gone away. Apparently, remember, we showed you sometimes the air pressure really can wreak havoc with these tires. I gotta believe that is probably the problem with both Martin and Rusty Wallace, changing of the air pressure a little bit, or whatever it is. Mark Martin was very lucky to get this car back down pit road without ripping the tires completely off.
Well, right now he's being shown 2 laps down, but in 5th position. He was in the lead lap, about 2/3 of the lap behind Dale Earnhardt before he had that trouble.
We see Dale Earnhardt, the leader. He just went by Bobby Labonte. The match allows Pontiac, put him another lap down. Now Labonte is 3 laps down.
7th place.
The 12th place car, Bobby Hamilton, 10 laps down.
Mark Martin coming through the traffic again with those fresh tires on.
Goes right by Lake Speed as we're looking from inside Lake Speed's car at Mark Martin.
Seeing that many cars, that many laps down, and many of them still up there in the top 15 or so, reminds you of the old days in racing when durability was a problem with race cars. Today it's not necessarily durability. It's, well, I guess it is in one sense, but in a bigger sense it's probably because of crashes.
While we're talking about the past, we can mention that both of you guys have won here on this racetrack, but Ned, it wasn't shaped like this when you won, right?
No, it's a little bit different. The banking was not as high. I think it was about 24 degrees. Then still a tough racetrack to run. Very fast for a half-mile track, but not nearly as fast as it is now.
And Benny, you were probably, what, 100 pounds lighter?
About that, yes. As a matter of fact, I had dinner Friday night with my co-driver, John A. Esman. That was the interval board. Earnhardt has over a 9-second lead on Lake Speed. And Kenny Schrader still just about a half a second behind Speed. And Jeff Bodine, the Exide car, is almost a lap down.
That equates to on the racetrack about 6/10 of a lap that Earnhardt was ahead of the second place car at Speed.
There's Steve Grissom. He is one of the Max Race Cars Rookie of the Year contestants. And where's he, Bob?
16th. He's the highest among rookies right now.
Rookies this year with the most heralded rookie crop. Steve Grissom, Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, Joe Nemechek, John Andretti,
who unfortunately did not make this race despite the fact that he had some sponsorship from the Grand Piano and Furniture Company. As you can see, John Andretti 4th in the rookie points, being led by Jeff Burton, then Steve, Nemechek, and Loy Allen, who also failed to make today's race. Burton, of course, is out of competition. Ward Burton is 6th in the rookie point standings, followed by Mike Wallace, who's out of the race, Jeremy Mayfield, who didn't make it, and Curtis Markin and Billy Standridge didn't come to try to make the race.
And Rusty Wallace was back in the pits again, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He had made a 4-tire change while we were looking at that rookie situation. So Rusty has dropped, well, he's still up there, what, 9th place now.
Still in top 10.
6 laps down, but
This 29 car is owned by Gary and Carolyn Bechtel out of San Francisco.
Steve and Dale.
The 7th place car, Bobby Labonte, the Maxwell House Pontiac, is in the pit. Change of tires. He's 3 laps down before he came in. He just gets right side tires, goes back out.
There you can see how the race speed compares with the qualifying speed. Earnhardt making laps of 112 while the pole sitter qualified at 124.9. Jerry?
On the 23 cars.
Oh, we got a crash over in turn 3. Looks like
Martin is involved some way or another.
Yeah.
A lot of damage.
And the 24 car spun down the back. There must be oil or something down the back straightaway, and Jeff Bodine is trying to beat Earnhardt back around to get a lap back.
Not going to do it.
No.
Okay, the cars involved, Hud Strickland, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon. There is Jeff. He doesn't have a left rear, does he?
Looks like the tire.
Jerry Punch, what's going on?
Just about a half a lap ago, Benny, someone radioed and said the 23 car is leaking fluid. And Hunt was going to try to make his way back to pit road, but he didn't quite get back here. So now we've got a caution flag, and Mark Martin is bringing what's left of the Valvoline Ford back behind the wall. Steve Meal and the crew now walking around looking at the car. Mark takes the window net down and will try to get unhooked and climb out. This would be able to possibly make the final pit stops of the day, as Jeff Gordon is also involved. John Kernan?
Well, Jeff Gordon's car is still just sitting at the end of pit road down on into turn 3. And what happened was he hit the 25 car and went up and hit the wall and also blew a tire. And now Jeff Bodine is headed down pit road for service, and Earnhardt is in. Let's go to the front stretch.
Right side tires already on. Left side tires going on. Routine pit stop, 17.5 seconds. Quite a few tire marks on the side of the car, but Earnhardt pretty much routine under caution is down and away. But not the same for the man who was hoping to get a good finish here today. His car, we're talking about Mark Martin, is behind pit wall. Kenny Schrader makes his way to pit road, and John Kernan is there.
Jerry, the jack's already dropped on the right side. They'll come around and change left side tires. Earnhardt is already headed around to the front straightaway, and here comes the third place car getting the left side tires. But that's not Ken Schrader. He's down and away.
Wow. This may take a little bit of time to clean up because they got some major oil or water down on the racetrack that starts over in the middle of the backstretch. Here's a replay.
There's the smoke. Smoking, the 23 car smoking. And then Mark Martin comes along, hits the wall, gets in the moisture that the 23 put down, and hits the wall.
And then somehow the 24 is involved. Here's the in-car from Mark.
Wow. Right.
There is the Valvoline Ford who is behind the wall. Jerry?
Well, Mark Martin is looking at the right front tire. Mark, what happened out there?
I don't know for sure. I can't say.
You've had a couple of right front tires come apart. Has there been a problem with just the car just going away on you?
Car wasn't going away. We had the car to beat today, I think, but can't win like that.
How badly is the car hurt, Mark?
What?
How bad is the car hurt? Can you get it
It's
fixed?
terrible.
Obviously a very frustrating Mark Martin. Take a look at what's left of the Valvoline Ford. Mark is really looking at the right front tire, but the crew now surveying the entire race car. Take a look at the left rear. They're looking at the rear end where the car hit to see if possibly the rear end housing may be bent, possibly the trailing arms beneath the car. Looking underneath the car now, you can see crew members climbing under it to look at the trailing arm, basically the struts that help support the rear end housing. The Valvoline Ford, you heard Mark Martin say, was running so well he hoped to be able to win here, but it has gone away here with this latest caution flag. Bob?
It has not been a good weekend for Mark Martin. He lost the race yesterday when he pulled into the pits too soon while leading. He's out of today's race also. Just a little more than a lap has been run under green. We were cautioned for 6 laps because of the incidents on the backstretch. Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race. Rusty Wallace has positioned himself between Earnhardt, the leader, and second place Lake Speed, and Rusty is in 7th position. Now let's take you back a few laps ago and we'll watch this situation and how it developed among 3 drivers.
First of all, we see the 23 car smoking. And then Mark Martin comes along, hits the wall, and watches Jeff Gordon comes in here. Watch Jeff Gordon. Wow, man, oh man, did he hit the wall.
It must Bunting, I guess, it came out of the 23 car, and then just hit that and shot him straight into the wall.
It wouldn't have taken much for that car to turn over as hard as it hit.
And the 23 car is still on the racetrack, so I don't know if they repaired it or maybe it wasn't. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, they blow an engine, that's for sure. Here's Rusty Wallace trying to get one of his, what, 6 laps back?
Yep. He's now only 5 laps down. And now Lake Speed is looking at car length with Dale Earnhardt.
That's right. That allowed an Earnhardt's car bottoming out down in the first corner. If this camera will stay on now, I saw some sparks from underneath the 3 car when he went down in the corner.
Lake Speed running in second position.
Didn't do it that time.
Maybe in a position here to win his second race.
He won at Darlington many years ago. Ooh, Lake got a little bit in that turn a little hard there, went a little high. Lost a bit of time.
Jerry punches with Jeff Gordon.
Jeff, you had a great day going early on. Looked like you might have been one of the cars to beat. What happened out there?
Well, I really don't know. I just got caught up. I think it's something else that was going on. I was just riding along there on my own lap, me and Mark, I guess, and just trying to ride out the end of the race. And somebody slowed down up in front of me. Schrader got on the brakes, and I didn't have time to get on the brakes. By the time I did, I flipped Schrader, spun, and got into the wall.
Looks like probably the rear end housing. What all? Are you going to be able to get back in?
You know, there's not many laps left, and if we do, it's not going to mean much. But we're going to try all we can. These guys been working hard, been doing a good job all day. So we'll try to get back out there. It hit the right rear corner pretty hard.
They're working on the rear end housing. The DuPont Chevrolet. Jeff Gordon standing by to try to get back in the final laps of this race. Bob?
Right now being shown in 14th, and his statement about it hit the wall pretty hard on the right rear is a bit of an understatement.
And, you know, we keep blaming the 23 car for dropping some water or oil, but he did not blame that, and neither did Mark Martin. Right. So maybe it was just the fact that they got in the corner and
just coincidental that, that the 23 was there about that time. A little surprise.
John Kernan, what was the situation regarding Hut Strickland's car?
You're not going to believe this, Bob. I don't think I've seen this happen. Look at this. This is the shock off the right rear. Normally, this goes up inside the cylinder, but it just pulled out while he was out on the racetrack. Just pulled right out. That's a lot of shock travel, isn't it, Benny?
It's a lot of shock travel, and there is fluid inside that shock absorber. So it could be when that shock came apart, that dropped some fluid on the racetrack, and that's what Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon got into.
Absolutely shocking developments here at Bristol.
And Earnhardt has gotten back by Rusty Wallace, and Rusty really didn't fight him that hard because he's several laps down, and he doesn't want to ruin Earnhardt's chance of winning the race.
Plus the fact that he wants to keep that right front tire on that Miller Ford. That when he was running that hard, he's had several problems with it today, and so he's figured the best thing he can do is just ride it out because he's riding along there in 7th position there right now.
Another Auto Light Field summary running down the way they're running.
Okay, we got us a race going right here because Jeff Bonine is going to get alongside the 15 car. I think he's faster, and when he opens the door, Schrader is going to try to get by as well.
Bodine is the lap down in 4th place. And Lake Speed in 2nd. Schrader moving in position there now, Benny. Do just what you said. Let's see. Yep,
Here it
you're
is.
right. You were right on, Benny.
Schrader takes 2nd spot. And he's about a half a straightaway behind Earnhardt.
Number 4. On the last green flag session, Schrader's car was a little bit slower than Lake Speed after a few laps. Let's see if that continues again and Lake Speed's able to get back by him.
Schrader has 4 finishes of 11th or better in the first 5 races of 94. Worst finish has been a 16th at Atlanta. There is Lake Speed, who's now back in 3rd. Will jump in the cockpit with him. The laps click off. We're down to 4 shot from overhead of Bristol International Raceway from the Family Channel blimp. In addition to soaring over festivals across the country, it has played host to such unique events as an onboard wedding over the World Series and as a scientific support craft for whale studies off the coast of Florida.
Tell you what, you don't get many bridesmaids and groomsmen and all that inside that thing, do you?
I would guess they'd have few attendants.
Yes, very few attendants.
And few that came along as spectators.
Preacher, a bride, a groom, and a witness, and
that's about it.
That's all you need to make it official.
That's true.
Might be cheaper to hire that thing than it would be to have all that people in there.
Yes, sir. We're on the top of the Citgo Ford with Morgan Shepherd there for a moment. Now we focus in on the leader of the race, Dale Earnhardt.
Observers around the racetrack are saying that Lake Speed has reported to his pits that he is extremely loose. That's one reason that he's not able to mount a charge towards Kenny Schrader.
He's falling out from second back to third.
So 3 cars on the lead lap. Well, Dale Earnhardt, Kenny Schrader again, Lake Speed car. And fourth place, 1 lap down is the 7 car Jeff Bodine.
We're watching from the Derek Cope figurehead car. He's flapping something in the breeze there from the back end of the machine.
Well, Derek spent a lot of time behind the wall after an encounter with the wall. And 5th place is Michael Walker. He's 3 laps down. Nobody close to him. 4th place is Bobby Labonte. He's 4 laps down. So Michael just needs to ride it out to get himself a top 5 finish.
And amazingly, the rain has held off. We have had sprinkles and a few drops, but nothing that would interrupt our flow here this afternoon. Hazelton on top of the Ford Quality Care car driven by Lake Speed. Now up high above the track in the blimp.
That's Terry Labonte in the Kellogg's Cornflakes car. He's back on the racetrack after been spinning several laps, like 125, repairing the damage to his car.
He's 25th. In the 31 car on the same lap.
Labonte's car is running pretty well.
Yes, for all the damage it has.
Dave Marcus, how about this, is running in 10th position, although he is 12 laps down. Boy, it's good to see that, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And the next car behind him is 5 laps behind him, so, you know, if he can ride it out, he can stay at the top 10.
It was Dover in September of 1991. The Dave Marcus last finished in the top 10. Jerry Punch.
And you got to give a call to Dave because this morning, about an hour and 10 minutes before race time, they were pushing the car onto the starting grid. They cranked it up, and the engine came apart. So they ran back over to their pits and had to hurriedly change the engine and just got the car back through inspection to start. Dave himself was involved with the engine change, trying to get the car, so they have done their work today. And a top 10 finish would be a just reward for Dave Marcus and his crew.
Got a local sponsor on that car, Tri-City Aviation. One of the FBOs at the airport here in Bristol.
One of his faithful sponsors on the car number 71.
And of course, whenever we come to Bristol and whenever we think of aviation, we can't help but think of 1 year ago when our champion was taken from us. We will always remember Alan, of course, for what he did and what he was in racing. We'll always think about it more when we come here to Bristol. Dave Marcus started 29th, has been as high as 10th. That's where he is currently running. Was as low as 35th. Nice steady ride for the veteran from Wisconsin.
See, Jeff Gordon's back on the racetrack trying to make some more laps.
Trying is a proper word.
Yes.
Well, if he can run 1 more lap, he'll pass Mark Martin.
Which is exactly what I think he's doing.
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to do, is just get another lap or 2. That's 3 points. That's what it amounts to.
And although he is in the pits, he crosses the line and therefore does complete the lap. So he will now take it behind the wall. Dale Earnhardt leads with just 23 circuits remaining in the Food City 500.
Earnhardt is trying to keep this baby together for about another 15 laps.
If he can go on to win this race, he will take over the points lead. And he has 13 more circuits to go. Now coming up on 12. This completes lap 488.
After watching the Goodies 250 here at Bristol yesterday, I'm not going to say anything about having anything won.
That was, without question, the most bizarre finish of a race that I've ever seen. We alluded to it earlier when Mark Martin dropped out of the race, but for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Mark Martin was leading the race. It was going to end under caution. The white flag came out. The cars, all they had to do for Mark Martin to win was just complete one more lap and cross the line, but he pulled off of the racetrack and headed toward victory lane a lap too soon.
Thinking that the race was over.
Yeah. It's been since August of 1988 that Dale Earnhardt has registered a victory here at Bristol.
Wow. As well as he runs here.
Yep. But this will be his 8th victory at this track and his 5th in this particular event. Dave Marcus is off the pace. I hope that's just a routine tire change.
Yeah.
Nothing's,
Okay, he's got 6 laps on the guy behind him, so he still can get back out there and finish these last 6 laps, 8 laps. He'll be okay.
Let's just hope it's a quick tire change.
Okay, guys, take off. Get that thing going.
Come on, Dave.
There you go. All right. Okay.
And you know, the physical thing hasn't played today, but I think maybe all the caution flag laps we've had has played in the hands of the driver, so that it really hasn't been as strenuous and as physical as it normally is here at Bristol.
Gives him a chance to rest those neck muscles a little bit.
There's Richard Childress, who will wait for 5 more laps before hopefully greeting his driver in victory lane. He passes Darrell Waltrip, puts another lap on him. Darrell is going to finish in 15th position after starting 37th.
Spent some time behind the wall with that problem he had that John Kernan reported on.
There you can see that the average speed is going to be well off of the race record of more than 100 miles an hour, almost 101. Dale Earnhardt is headed for his 61st career win.
Like I said, Bob, don't count the chickens before they hatch. After that deal yesterday.
3 to go. And again, we'll lock down our camera here in turn 1 and show you the field as it comes down the front stretch. It is indeed what I think we could explain as a tattered field that is coming down through here. Lots of damaged cars, but they're still hanging in there. And now Dale looks for the white flag next time around.
Tattered or battered? That's the same thing.
Take your pick. Earnhardt gets the white flag. He's got a half mile to go until he records another victory and moves into the points lead for 1994. Dale Earnhardt wins his 24th short track race in his career. There is the checkered flag, and he's done it.
What a great job today.
Yeah, I miss that, didn't I? I'll tell you what, can't say nothing about the race Dale ran. A lot of cars had trouble, and he ran a real smart race. Our car handled pretty good. It's the first time we've run this car, the first time Dale's run it. Neil ran this car at Atlanta for us, the last race of the season last year. It was brand new then. It's the first time we've got to run it, so, this is for Neil Bonnet, too.
All right, head on up to victory lane, and that's where Dr. Jerry Punch is standing by.
And a big smile from Dale Earnhardt as he climbs out of the Goodrich Chevrolet. Dale, congratulations on win number 8 here at Bristol.
Car worked good, didn't it? Got to hand it to Andy and the GM Goodrich crew. They just done a good job and didn't qualify that well. I was really disappointed in a qualifying run, but had a good day, stayed out of trouble, dodged a few wrecks. Good day for us.
we saw a lot of problems with right front tires. I just asked Andy a minute ago on pit road, what's the secret? You guys didn't have any trouble. Big kiss from Teresa. Didn't have any trouble at Darlington and didn't have any trouble today.
Well, we got the car set up right, I reckon. And then the guys work on the car quite a bit. We changed A-frame this morning to help the Cramner and the caster, and everything worked good for us.
You must have changed breakfast cereal or something. Everyone was exhausted at Darlington. You came out fresh as a daisy. We talked about exhaustion today. You're smiling. You don't even seem to be breathing hard.
Another couple hundred miles wouldn't hurt.
Oh, man. What about there was a lot of concern about the physical aspects of today's race, particularly the neck.
Yeah, but it didn't bother me none. I got in pretty good shape. Took care of myself, I reckon. Me and my old buddy Neil, we worked out a little bit this winter.
I guarantee you. Last year, the first win came at Darlington. You went on and won the championship. This year, first win came at Darlington. You back it up for 2 in a row, and we're calculating now, but we believe you've just taken the Winston Cup points lead.
It'd be great if we did. Got it in before this rain. Every race counts in that points race, and that's what we're after right now, is just trying to do the best we can and do all we can, get all the points we can. And then the guys have just done a super job. I think our year would have been even better, but things happen, like loosen lug nuts or whatever, so you just got to do what you got to do.
You talk about the fortune skies. The rain is beginning here. The clouds are opening up, but Dale Earnhardt is smiling because he is in victory lane. Bob?
And Dale Earnhardt, of course, is going for a record-tying 7th NASCAR Winston Cup championship. The top 6 finishers here today had their best finishes of 1994.
No driver had ever started as far back as the 24th position to win at Bristol, but Dale Earnhardt took the lead with 183 laps left and cruised to the 61st Winston Cup victory of his career. It was his first short track victory since October of 1991 and vaulted him over Ernie Irvan in the first place in the Winston Cup standings. Midway through the race, it seemed that Jeff Bodine would give Hoosier, upstart tire manufacturer, its first victory. Bodine led for 160 laps, but when he pitted on lap 318, Earnhardt took the lead. When the yellow flag came out, again 4 laps later, Earnhardt was able to pit and keep the lead. That wraps up our presentation of the 1994 Food City 500. I'm Mike Gleason. Tune in every Saturday for the greatest races in NASCAR history, only on ESPN Classic.